Okay, you're still watching Good Morning Cross River on CRBC TV on the Golden Thursday morning, hoping that you're enjoying yourself every step of the way. Now, we have several segments, like I said, in the course of our presentation, just to ensure that you live a longer life, especially as it has to do with maybe lifestyle modification to achieve what you intend to achieve. Today, we'll be looking at the effect of white sugar. You might be wondering in your heart, how many categories of sugar do we have? Well, I have a lifestyle expert in our midst here. He's in the studio this morning. I'm talking about Mr. Clement Sunday. Good morning once again and welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Now, it's sugar, sugar, sugar. I remember when I was young, you know, as a child, you like things that are very sweet. You could even be eating 10 cubes of sugar, maybe sipping Gary and all of that with it. But now the trend is no sugar, no sugar. It's been the drinks you've seen, like no sugar, no sugar. And so today we're looking at white sugar. But before we get into maybe the matter on the table, which is white sugar, can we just maybe know the classification of sugar? Why this sugar? Why is it the challenge, the problem?
Okay, before we go into white sugar proper, I would like to explain how white sugar came to be. Now, we have a different classification of food, and basically carbohydrates is the family where white sugar belongs. Now, we have like three types of carbohydrate. We have the monosaccharide, we have the disaccharide, and we have the polysaccharide. Now, the monosaccharide are further divided into three parts. We have the fructose, we have the glucose, and we have the galactose. Now, under the disaccharide, that's where you have the sucrose, which we refer to as the white sugar. We have the sucrose, we have the lactose, and we have the maltose. Now, so I'm not going to bother you with the polysaccharide is where you have, of course, we have the starch and all that.
And all those ones.
Yes, the carbohydrate, the complex ones, the compound complex ones. So now the sucrose is which is the most common, you know. The maltose is what you find in the milk and in the malt, and you find lactose in milk. Now, the sucrose is what you can refer to as the refined sugar. It's usually extracted from sugarcane juice. Now, sugarcane juice is extracted from sugarcane and taken through several processes to produce what we refer to as the white sugar, which can be made into cubes, into powder, and can be used and added to sweeten different kinds of food or beverages and all that. So that is how the white sugar came to be.
Okay, very well. Thanks for educating us on the origin of the white sugar. Now we're looking at refined sugar. Okay, which of these sugar is that harmful?
Okay, all these I've mentioned, monosaccharide, disaccharide, and all these classes of sugars, they are nutritious to the body, and but the refined ones is what we usually call the white sugar. The refined ones, like the fructose, is what you find in fruits.
In fruits,
you know, oranges, and so you find, you know, when you taste it, it's sugary to taste. So, and you know, it has benefit to the body. But the refined sugar, as it were, the sucrose itself, it's also beneficial to the body because there's a way the liver converts it into glucose and they're absorbed by the cells. But when you take refined sugar, during the process of converting the sugarcane juice into producing what is called refined sugar, a lot of things are lost. The sucrose, as it were, in naturally occurring state, contains a lot of trace elements which are needed in the body. It contains calories which are needed. It contains other vital stuffs like vitamins, like thiamine, or the vitamin B, B1, B6, contains these things. So, but when it goes through the process of refinement, all these things are lost. So what you have left is just merely fructose, which is what we consume.
That's because of the additions in the process of refinement.
Yes, while they go through this process of refinement, all these beneficial stuffs are lost. So what we have is just sweetener. That's what we have. And they, of course, have harmful effect to the body.
Okay, let's go straight to the harmful effect. But before the harmful effect, that means if maybe I cut a sugar cane, I'm chewing it, it's quite healthy.
Yes, it's better.
It's better.
Because that's not undergo. Because when you take sugar cane, for example, sugar cane juice, which is the raw material used for refinement or producing the refined sugar, it contains vitamins. it contains trace elements, contains some other nutritional stuff that we take. But how many of us even find ourselves using sugar cane? It's easier for us to take some of these drinks, and we still experience the sweetness. And so we don't really care about getting naturally occurring sugars anymore.
Okay, so let's go straight and look at the effect of white sugar.
Okay, now I'm going to start with the refined sugar. Now the harmful effects. Now, in the process of our body taking up this sugar, when we take them, when we congest this sugar, when we consume them, either we take it in products, biscuits, we take them in drinks, and all of you, or whatever kind of stuff that we take with and contain sugar, refined sugar. When we absorb them into our system, we need vitamin B, the thiamine, to get them absorbed into the blood. So what happens is, when we take them, then vitamins are stolen from different cells, different parts of the body.
Okay, they are taken from different cells of the body.
They are taken from different
kind
cells
of contribution.
Yes. In order for this, it's just like a channel. It's just like that is like the key to get this sugar into the system. So vitamins that are supposed to be in the system, that are probably produced by some other food we have ingested, will now be stolen in order for this sugar to be consumed. So if that becomes a lifestyle, that we like taking refined sugar, a lot of white sugars every time, which doesn't contain this vitamin B anymore. So what happens is that everywhere the body can get vitamins, it will be stolen, and in order for this sugar to be absorbed into the system. And you know that this vitamin B is very important in cardiac muscle, so which is related to the heart. And when that becomes a problem, it also has a way of enhancing the extravascular fluid, and thereby some people can come up with heart-related problems. That is the first thing. The second thing is that in our body we have this calcium phosphorus balance in our system. So in our system, we have, our body is supposed to function, calcium phosphorus is supposed to be a ratio of 2.5 to 1. But if we have the lifestyle of consuming so much of this white sugar, the level of calcium and phosphorus will be altered. And when that happens, when someone has deficiency of calcium, what that could lead to bone problems over time. Some of these problems are not something that starts in a day. It's something that occurs over time. When it becomes a lifestyle, that is when these problems usually set in. Then the third reason is why sugar contributes towards tooth decay. It has a way of speeding up the rate at which
the gums
people come up with different kinds of dental problems, degeneration of the tooth and all that. So it has a way, because it is acidic, and that's what takes me to the next point. The white sugar that we consume is acidic, and that takes me to the next point. The next point is, when you consume, or you have a lifestyle of taking so much of this white sugar, when you consume it with carbohydrates, normally it is said that starch or carbohydrates the digestion of starch or carbohydrates starts in the mouth. But when you consume white sugar with so many of these carbohydrates, it has a way of inhibiting the digestion process. Thereby, the ptyalin, which is expected to start acting on the starch, will now be inhibited. So at the end of the day, what you've consumed, the carbohydrate, the starch you consume, will not have a complete metabolism. So it will not be properly digested, because you've taken excess of white sugar combined with carbohydrates. Now, the next point is the fact that it has a way of increasing stimulation of the sympathetic nervous system. Now, when you take excess of...
Which ones are sympathetic nervous system?
Yeah, it's a way, it's just a kind of a way the system of the body is coordinated. That's the way...
It's the sympathy here that I'm looking at.
Okay. There's the sympathetic nervous system, and I don't want to go into the medical part.
Very well.
So I just want to explain it in a layman's language. Now, when you take excess of sugar, it is considered you've gained so much energy. When you take refined sugar, it is expected that you've taken so much energy. So the heart will start beating faster, the lungs would start beating faster, the rate at which the body functions will start working more and more, because it is expected that you've consumed so much energy because you've taken white sugar. So because once you take white sugar, it increases the level of glucose in the system. Now, so everything starts working the organs start working faster than what they should be, and at the end of the day, the person comes up with some kind of tiredness and fatigue. So another thing that happens when we have the lifestyle of taking so much of white sugar is the fact that glucose are converted on a good day. When you have excess of glucose stored in the system, they are converted to glycogen. But when we have a constant lifestyle of taking so much of this white sugar, they are further converted to triglycerides, which are fat. And you know that fat, you know what fat means now when you have excess of starch being stored in the system and all that. So those are some of the effects, cumulative effects,
the bad effect.
The bad effect.
But we still have some good effect of taking sugar. Are there some effects? Are there some advantages?
What we eat, the rice, the starch food, the carbohydrates, all the other natural stuffs, that even the fruits that we take, they all contain sugar. So we benefit from taking them. But when we take refined sugar, that is the problem. When we take the refined ones, the ones that have gone through the industrial process, and you now have them to be white, and you now add them to your tea, you add them to this, you add them to that, or sometimes you consume them in beverages because they were added to these beverages. That is when this becomes a problem.
Okay, well, we're looking at the white sugar, the effect of white sugar. So, okay, and what's the alternative to? How do we check? How do we know that we have excess sugar, briefly?
Okay, of course, there are a lot of investigations that are done in standard laboratories to check our blood sugar level, which it is usually advisable. That's why we talk about annual checkup. You know, people should go and check their sugar level to know how much of sugar they have in the system. Now, the lifestyle modification, which I can advise people to adopt is consider taking more of honey. Consider taking more of honey than taking refined sugar. I see people add even honey to tea. You can add honey to tea. You can add honey to things you like. You would have probably loved to use sugar for. So honey could be a very good substitute for refined sugar. It has more beneficial because it's more beneficial. Honey contains vitamins, a lot of thiamine, and contains a lot of trace elements as well, and also contains the fructose, which eventually gives energy as well. So when you take them, so what happens is when you take honey into your system, the vitamins that are required to digest these particular fructose, this sugar, is present in the honey. So the honey doesn't need to steal vitamin B from the system in order to get it absorbed into the system. So what you take is going to be sufficient, and you preserve the vitamins you have already in the system. The second thing is that they don't alter the calcium phosphorus level. So thereby they don't alter they don't influence the deficiency of calcium in the system. So honey is better. Then, if, like you've mentioned before, the second substitute you can use are sugarcane juice. You can also use sugarcane juice. Then you can also get your sugar from eating fruits. Then another way you can get your sugar is by consuming carbohydrates and starch. So that way you can get sugar into your system and benefit, than to depend solely on taking refined white sugar.
All right, I've been talking with the lifestyle expert, Mr. Sunday Clement from Asiokpo Diagnosis Center, Merisliso Avenue. And I'll thank you very much for coming on the show this morning.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You're still watching Good Morning Cross River on CRBC TV. We still have more for you. Stay with us.